Hello, everybody.
Here we go again.
Here we go again. You ever play Grand Theft Auto, San Andreas?
No, I have not.
Oh, well, there's a clip of it's like a meme now where the main character's walking down the alley and he says, "Here we go again," and that's basically where we're at.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's all good. I was gonna
Trying
say
to
I'm hearing
try,
the echo.
just trying to share our socials.
Ooh, echo.
Oh man,
Um, Welcome everybody to episode 20. What is this? 26. Episode
26.
26. I've
Yeah,
lost
this
I've
feels.
lost count because they're all the same now. They are all the same.
Oh man.
Episode 26 of Bear Down Breakdown, your source for all things Chicago Bears, unfortunately.
Mm.
I'm Eli, by the way.
And I'm Bruce.
And yeah, we are here to help you guys get out your frustrations, vent. So if you're joining us live, please join in the discussion, comment your thoughts, whether it be if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, Twitter as well. I'll see those comments. Just sound off. We'll read
Yeah,
them. We'll interact if you got questions, whatever it is. Hit us up and we'll interact. We want to interact, especially in times like these where it helps to kind of voice your frustrations. But
hmm
um, yeah, before we talk Bears, as I usually do, you can see my brother Bruce is on for another episode. We are
yeah.
blessed by your presence, B.
Oh man, stop it, stop it. I'm
But
humbled.
anyway, how you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. I'm good. We was talking, texting amongst myself, Dom, and you, and just the frustration. I mean, it's just the frustration, and I know we'll get into that. But on a good note, my son, his football team won yesterday, so I'm
Nice.
happy about that, man. They won 14-0, coming off two straight losses. They're 3-3, and here's the beauty about that: they didn't win a game last year. They was 0-8 last year, so they're 3-3 this year.
Mm,
They're in the thick of things for the playoffs, and they're 11 years old, man. And they take this thing serious. Like this is real deal. My son is super committed to this, and he's had an amazing season, and just kind of taking me by surprise about how quick he's catching on to the game. You know what I'm saying? And at this age, it's all about fundamentals, right? And then when you see um certain talents that's there, you just like, oh, okay,
hmm
I'm trying to retire in 10 years, brother. You looking good. So I'm proud of him. I'm proud of the team. So that kept me sane yesterday.
Yeah.
My son's game was at 12. The Bears started at 12. So, I was that dad. I was watching my son, but at the same time, I was watching the Bears too. And everything was going great on both ends until, yeah. So, but now I'm good, man. I'm good.
That's,
Can't
that's
complain,
dope.
brother. How about yourself?
Shout out to Jaden, by the way.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. I'm football out already in week 4. For
Week
week 4.
4.
Bro, I after that loss, I couldn't even watch any football after that.
Mhm.
Like I was just so disgusted that I did not want to see another team be competent and go out and beat other teams and look good, even though we looked good for 3 quarters. But
Yeah.
uh, yeah, it's just I'm not in fantasy football, so thank God for that because that might even put me in deeper football depression.
Oh, it will. It will. Trust me.
But yeah, I am football depressed right now, and obviously we'll break down why in a minute. But Yeah, that's where I'm at right now, and it
Yeah.
it it makes your winter so much more worse. I know we're
Mm.
not in winter yet.
Oh, it
We're
feels like it
we're
though.
just now in fall. But yeah, winter's coming,
Yeah. Yeah.
and yeah, it's gonna be a brutal one.
You
It's
know,
gonna be a brutal one.
it's interesting you say that because all our Chicago teams right now, baseball's over with.
Yeah.
Neither one of the Chicago teams made the playoffs.
Mhm.
Um, the Bulls, I know this is our Bears show, but the Bulls had their opening today, and it was like, yeah, shout out, you got the t-shirt on. I see
I'm
you.
rocking
I
the
see
Bulls
you.
gear
Yeah, yeah.
hesitantly.
Um, yeah, but after all those press conferences that each player had, you was just like, all right, here we go.
Yeah,
Tournament. What is it? Play-in tournament, right?
playing tournament, yeah.
And then the only exciting thing is the young kid for the Blackhawks.
Connor Bedard.
Yeah, that's the
Yep,
only thing. I mean, and this Bears team, yeah, let's just get into it.
yeah. Yeah, no, that's a great point. I'm not just football depressed, I'm Chicago sports depressed.
Hmm.
So, yeah, it's,
Yeah,
not a fun time to be a Chicago sports fan, but when is it a fun time? Rarely, right?
yeah,
Rarely.
yeah. That's unfortunate.
Yeah. Yes,
It
it
was such a
is.
beautiful day yesterday.
It was gorgeous. It was a
Yeah,
gorgeous day, um,
yeah.
to play football, but yeah, that was a big old and that is because the Bears lost 31-28 in this
Surprise.
game, after being up 28-7 in the first half. Uh, yeah, I'm
Where
bro,
do we
I'm
start?
still speechless
Where
from
do we
this game.
start?
Like,
Yeah.
so obviously the big story is this was Justin Fields' best passing game in his career, like
Hmm.
hands down. He was 28 to 35, 335 yards, 4 tutties. He did have that. Just really, really bad timing interception that ended the game. He was sacked 4 times. He had that bad fumble that was scooped and returned for the touchdown that ended up tying the game 28-28. Uh, and
Hmm.
yeah, it was. Man, the stat line for this game is crazy because you have Justin Fields going off for 335 yards, 4 tutties. You had Khalil Herbert had one of his best games rushing the
Hmm.
football. He had over 100 yards rushing.
Yep.
You had DJ Moore, 8 catches, 131 yards, a touchdown. Cole Kmet had seven
Amazing.
catches, 85 yards, 2 tutties.
Yeah.
And you look at the stats and you think, man, that's got to be a Bears dub, right? That's got to be a Bears dub.
Hmm. Hmm.
Nope, nope. The Bears have found a way to lose to the team that gave up 70 points the week before. So at home,
Yeah.
by the way, this was in Chicago. Um,
Hmm. Hmm.
B, what's your thoughts,
Yeah.
bro? What's your thoughts on this game?
Um, you know, we had a 28-7 lead, right? And finger pointing. I mean, because that's what we do now. That's what we do. We finger point.
Yeah,
We point the
we have to
blame
find
on
whose fault. Yeah,
whose fault, whose fault it
yeah.
is. And you can go with coach, the coaching staff. You can go with Justin Fields and the turnovers. And um, one thing I took away from that loss yesterday is this team just simply doesn't know how to win games. And I mentioned this last week in last week's show where they are so the culture is it's a losing culture. And so when you're so used to losing, you just don't know how you don't know what to do, when to do, and you just knew something was gonna happen. Like, and that's sad as a fan, right? Watching the game, you knew when the score for me, when it was 28-21 and the Bears got the ball back, I said, here we go, here we go. Here we go. It's such a culture of losing where this team just simply doesn't know how to win. We're now at 14 games in a row. 14 games in a
Mhm.
row. And at some point, now let's go back. You and I have been doing this for a very long time now. We could say that, right? One of the things that we always debate is the who is it to blame? Is it the coaches or is it the players? You've always said B is coaching. It's coaching. And you know
During the
me,
Matt
I'm
Nagy
that guy.
era. During the
Yeah,
Matt
and
Nagy
I'm that
era.
guy. I'm
Yeah.
like, nah, the players got to step up. They got to do what the coaches can do. All and it has to be the players. And we always go back and forth with that. Yesterday, I don't care how many turnovers Justin Fields had. I blame that game on Matt EberFLUS. I blame it on him.
Mm.
You have created this culture where they are so used to losing. You just you don't know how they don't know how to win. Whose fault is that's the coach's fault? Yeah, I know the players are out there playing and they're giving effort. I didn't question that team's effort yesterday. I didn't question their confidence. They jumped out to a 28-7 lead. Matt Eberflus, you are the defensive coach. Okay, because we want to talk about culture with this team. Look, the defensive coordinator that you hired, he's gone because he did something crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your wide receiver that you traded for gave a second round pick. Roquan Smith is in Baltimore dominating. That guy, he's not even playing, and he's getting so much. Chase Claypool is getting so much headlines for a guy that I don't even think he's had 10 catches in his career as a Chicago Bear. Has he even reached 10 catches yet? Maybe he has. I don't know. Maybe I know he got a touchdown this year. Regardless, and that's my guy because he's a Notre Dame guy, so I'm rooting for him. But he's getting too much air, too much play, right? I blame all this on Matt Eberflus, man, because at some point you're the coach, you are the head coach, and you have created this culture where it's just so down. Like we was chatting today and we was talking about his press conference, right? Like I'm not a you gotta win the press conference type of guy. I don't care about that. Because if you win, then that takes care of everything. But even his press conference, you're like, what are you talking about, bro? What are you talking about? And then for the Bears as an organization, and I know I'm going all over the place, but just allow me let me just get off. Let me just pause. Let me just go off
Get it out, bro.
for a second. You know what I'm saying? Who in the world is Matt Eberflus that the Bears still has him as a coach? He still was allowed to get up on the podium today and have 2 press conferences. He was allowed to go on the Cap and Hoodie show. Shout out to Kaplan and Hoodie on AM 1000. He was allowed to have an interview with those guys. Who in the world is Matt Eberflus for him to still have a job with the Chicago Bears? You've lost 14 games in a row. I want everybody that's listening and that will watch this, go to your job and for 14 days make really bad mistakes.
No,
14 days in a row. Go make 14 mistakes in a row and see what happens. You know, if I did that, I'd be like, hey, is y'all hiring, bro? I'll be calling up all my homies. Hey, y'all, anybody hiring right now? 14 in a row, bro. And yet he still has a job. And I know Bears got this culture and this policy where, we don't want to fire anybody mid-season. Who in the heck is Matt Eberflus that you can't let him go tomorrow?
Yeah.
It's toxic. It's toxic. And I'm sorry, that starts with the head coach. I was watching the Jets and the Chiefs play last night, right? And I'm watching the Jets, and they were down 17-0. And that kid, who's their quarterback?
Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson. That kid, I mean, he's had so much just scrutiny against him and in the course of his own doing, but I saw that team as a whole rally around him, and it came down to the refs making a bad call. But you can tell that team, as crazy. I mean, it's the New York Jets, right? They have, but you could tell just the tables are turning. And if they had Aaron Rodgers, I truly believe they would have won that game last night. But it's not a dig on Wilson. It's just you could tell by just the team's culture that they all just believe in each other and they're gonna rally around this guy and it starts with the coaching. And when I look at the Chicago Bears, I just think it's just silence on Matt Eberflus now. Everything he's saying, his little hit principles, whatever that means now, because that's so trash and garbage. Like none of that stuff matters when you've lost 14 games in a row. And so I don't care about the turnovers. I don't care about, Justin Fields throwing an interception at the end of the game or him causing that fumble for them to tie the game. I don't care about. I blame that on Matt Eberflus because that game wasn't just dictated. If that team knew how to win, they would have closed that game out yesterday. You're the defensive coordinator. You're the defensive guru. You're a cover two guru, and you allow that defense. Come on, we was up 28-7.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, the upper brass of the Chicago Bears need to look at this and say, you know what? Enough is enough. If we're going to try and salvage this season, which I look on their schedule and I'm just like, they still got games that they could win. And maybe that's just me still just being a Chicago Bears fan, but they still got games that they can possibly, do something with the season, but it's not going to happen with this guy as the coach. It's just not. And bro, you know me. I am such a players have to play and perform, but this time, man, this is all on the coach. This is all on the coach. So
yeah. I mean, it's not just the game. It's like, and you talked about the press conference. The dude looked so lost.
Yeah.
When he was pressed about the Chase Claypool situation, and you cannot be the head coach and not know what's happening around your team. Too often have we seen Matt Eberflus get up there on the podium and say either he doesn't know something, like in week 1 when DJ Moore was not on the field on a key third down situation. They asked him, why wasn't DJ Moore in the game? And he basically said, I don't know. Maybe he needed a breather. Maybe he was a little bit dinged up. I have no idea.
Yeah.
This was Wednesday after that game. This was a couple of days after the game. He still didn't know. It's too often that this dude looks like a deer in the headlights when he's up at the podium. And I think it's just very clear that Matt Eberflus is not the guy to bring in during a rebuild. If he was hired when, let's say we're done with the rebuild, we have a bunch of really good key pieces like Lovie Smith was given with Mike Brown and Brian Urlacher and Lance Briggs and that beast of a defensive front. If Matt Eberflus was hired in that kind of situation where we have a bunch of just dogs,
right,
maybe he could do something with this team. But he is not the right coach for this situation. He is not a guy that is going to stand up on that podium and take accountability for his coaches. Not once have I heard Matt Eberflus walk on the podium and say, "Yeah, this is on me, guys. This one's on me. I did not have these guys prepared." I haven't heard him say that once.
Yep.
You want to know who else it probably notices that? The guys in his locker room, the players.
Yeah. Yep.
Every time you hear Matt Eberflus talk about some kind of play where he's just getting grilled about it by the reporters, he always talks about execution. Yeah, we didn't execute that right. You think the players don't hear that?
Right.
We hear it.
Yep.
You think the players don't hear you not taking accountability for your offensive coordinator that calls on a key 4th and 1, a run out of shotgun to Khalil Herbert right up the middle.
Yeah.
When you have the most dynamic player, one of the most dynamic players in the league in Justin Fields right now, who was balling out. He made one mistake at that point with the fumble, and you just take the ball out of his hands because of what? Because why? You just lose faith in him at that point? Like I don't get the conservativeness
Yeah.
to let. I mean that those 2 touchdown drives that Denver had coming out in the second half made it look so easy.
Yeah.
So easy. Those were easy ass touchdowns, and that's because that stupid cover 2 prevent BS
Yeah. Yeah.
soft
That was
coverage that they go into.
frustrating. That was
But
very frustrating.
as in the bigger picture of things, yeah, Matt Eberflus is in over his head right now, and I think well, I can't say it's the only reason, but a big reason why he wasn't fired today on Monday is because they have a game
They
in
got a
3
game
days.
Thursday. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
And then that's the only thing that if I knew or Ryan Poles and called him and say, "Man, Matt Eberflus still hired," and he
Mhm.
would have told me, "Man, we got a game in 4 days. Like I can't fire him right now." Then I'd be like, "Okay, I understand that."
Yeah.
But if you lose on Thursday, if you lose on Thursday,
Yeah. Um, when things were getting shaky, right, in that game yesterday, you needed to look to your coach to be like, all right, we're a young team. They got one of the youngest teams in the league. And that's when you look to your coach and you say, all right, coach, like let me look at my coach and see that he has confidence that we can pull this out and get this dub as tight as things were getting. And he looked shook. He looked shook. You call a timeout, was it 4th and 1, 4th and 2? You call a timeout and then you come back on the field. You tried to get them to jump off sides. Then you call a timeout. Then you come back on the field and you run the play, like you said, out of shotgun when you was just carving them up on passing the ball and rushing the ball. And oh man, I just don't. He looks lost. He looks completely lost. And again, I was one of those guys where, everybody was talking about firing him, but I'm just like, yeah, we just overreacting. We're emotional. This is just us just being Bears fans and we're meatheads and things aren't going right. And let's fire the coach and sell the team and burn the stadium down. We could play at a high school for the rest of the year because, that stadium's trash anyway. We just overreacting. But look, man, look, after that game yesterday, like you said, brother, if they didn't have a game on Thursday, I would have been sitting here pissed that they did not let that man go. It's just the game is too big. It's too big. Now maybe he'll be an amazing defensive coordinator where the pressure isn't on him. I mean, it's still pressure being a coordinator, but you're not the man, right? You're not the head coach. He coaches like he's in high school. You see what I'm saying? He coaches as if he's talking to my son. Like the things and look, I'm gonna be honest. Shout out to Coach Joe. My son's coach. He gets in them. Like he talks to them. Like and
yeah,
Eberflus talks like he coaching Pop Warner. Come on,
Coach
we got a lot. We were there and we're good and
we're close. We're close, guys.
And bro, you lost 14 games in a row. Even my son's team will look at you and be like, "Go sit your goofy ass down somewhere." You know what I'm saying? So it's just
100%.
getting old. It's just getting old, man. It's getting tiring, and here's the thing: if they win on Thursday, is he still here? Is he still around? Like if you look at their schedule, these games are super winnable, and if they win 2-3 in a row, who knows? Because football is weird, right? So if they win, is he still here? Like I'm almost rooting for them to lose on Thursday. And I hate saying that as a Bears fan, but I'm so over Eberflus, bro. I'm
It's
done.
like how are we here again? We're rooting for the same exact thing that we were rooting for last year.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
let Justin have really good games, but let's lose them. Let's lose them all.
Yeah. Ain't that crazy?
Let him throw for 300 yards, but let's lose the game.
Man.
That's exactly where we were last year.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to take a moment. I want to take a moment though, because he's gotten a lot of flack this year, our quarterback. I do want to take a moment and just give him some love, man. He played with such amazing confidence yesterday, and I almost felt sorry for him because the offensive line was trash once again. If you look at the grades of PFF, um, Cody Whitehair and Patrick had the lowest grades on the team, and that's two of your offensive linemen. Who was filling in for Braxton Jones? What was his
Larry
name?
Borum.
Yeah. Oh my God,
He had a couple penalties that were
yeah, he was hot garbage. But Justin Fields, man, while under pressure, in yesterday's games, he was 10 out of 15 for 110 yards, a touchdown, and he had a passer rating of 110.4. The one thing that we wanted him to do is get the ball to DJ Moore. DJ Moore had 6 receptions of 10 plus yards, which was tied for second in the NFL, as a whole, in yesterday's game. So the offense was clicking. Say what you want to say about the turnovers. Justin Fields, he proved the haters that he can still do this. Like it's still in him. It's just a matter of what's going on between that young man's ears. So just wanted to give him some love, man. And he balled out yesterday.
He did. And just to piggyback off that stat, shout out to Courtney Cronin. She tweeted this yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. That Fields had a 72.1 QBR inside the pocket yesterday in the game versus Denver when he posted just a terrible 1.5 QBR inside the pocket last week. And his season high was a 20.6 QBR. So obviously huge strides made by Justin inside the pocket. And I know Luke Getsy did a really good job this game of getting
shout out to Getsy.
Getting him outside of the pocket. There were so many, really good play action play calls that I felt like really made Justin comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But those couple bootlegs, naked bootlegs with those free rushers at the end. I mean, one of them ended in a touchdown. It was that play to Khalil Herbert. He had a naked boot where you play action and then you boot to the opposite side. He had a defender right there in his face.
Mm-hmm.
And he was able to use his God-given athletic ability to move around, broke his ankles, and then hit Khalil Herbert for that touchdown. Probably my favorite Justin Fields play of the day was that one.
Yeah, definitely.
Showed a lot of growth. And then obviously the other play was the backbreaker, the one that he fumbled on. It was another naked boot. He had a free rusher right in his lap, tried to make a play, and it didn't end well. But yeah, and in that play, a lot of people, I had a discussion with this guy on Twitter going back and forth, and he was saying, you got to just take a sack in that situation. But according to Justin, he's coached not to take a sack in that situation. And then you can say that Justin should have seen his protection pre-snap, maybe call a timeout based on that. That's something that I haven't really seen Justin do a lot as a quarterback, pre-snap. If he doesn't like what he sees, call a timeout. I used to see Jay Cutler do that all the time.
A lot, yeah.
Where he just didn't like what he saw, so he would just call a timeout.
And then he'll be pissed.
Yeah. Yelling at his offensive coordinator on the sideline. But I mean, that's something of Justin's game that I would like to see grow. But yeah, I'm with you on the whole Justin. We're not putting this game on Justin. He had 3 mistakes in this game. 3. I counted them.
Yeah.
It was that fumble. It was the unintentional grounding that he did that was very costly late in the game. And then obviously the interception. Those are the 3 mistakes. And I understand they were magnified because they were in key late game situations. But he shouldn't have been in that position.
And I was just about to say, I'm all for just saying they were up 28-7. So he shouldn't have even. That was a game that. Yeah, man, he shouldn't have even been in that situation. So I'm with you on that. Here's Justin Fields was 16 out of 17 in the first half.
Broke the record.
Yeah, and his the incompletion was just the Hail Mary
A
pass.
Hail Mary. Yep.
Yeah, and that was it. And I know everybody was like, "Oh, that was against Denver. Their defense is trash." But if he would have struggled yesterday,
That's
then we
exactly what
would
I
have had
said.
an issue. Yeah, I
Exactly
know
what
they
I
gave
said.
up 70 to Miami. So is that a product of just Miami being Miami and just having an amazing assortment of weapons, or is that just like, let's give credit to this Chicago Bears offense? Like, you know, here we go again talking about Chase Claypool. Sometimes too much can be a detrimental to a quarterback, right? Because you know, in the beginning of the season, we talked about, oh, we got DJ Moore, we got Darnell Mooney, we got Chase Claypool, we just signed Cole Kmet. Oh, he got weapons all around. The thing with that, we know wide receivers are divas, man. They want the ball.
Mm-hmm.
They definitely want the ball. What I noticed yesterday is Justin Fields, his weapons, he was so comfortable with DJ Moore. He was so comfortable with Darnell Mooney. He was so comfortable with Cole Kmet. He sprinkled in Mercedes Lewis. He sprinkled in the running back, little dump offs to the running back here and there. But when he wanted to push the ball downfield, it was those three guys. He had a
Mm-hmm.
nice little throw to Equiminius St. Brown,
St.
who
Brown.
made a great.
That was the flea flicker play. Yeah.
Yeah, and he almost got his legs taken out,
Yeah.
Justin Fields, but had enough on the ball for him to make a good play. But his main weapons yesterday was those three: Kmet, DJ Moore, and Darnell Mooney. And moving forward, if that's what he wants to roll with because he has confidence in those guys, then I'm all for it. I'm all for it. So if this thing with Chase Claypool, if it's come to an end, look, we just chalk it up as a bad trade for Poles. I'm not about to. He was trying to make the team better last year. You needed a wide receiver. We was crying for a wide receiver. Chase Claypool, he from the neck down, he has all the tools. Pause. But it's just something mental. It's just something mental
Oh,
with him. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not about to
man.
sit here and get on Ryan Poles. And you made a great point on your Twitter today. You said, we want to talk about Roquan Smith, but we signed Tremaine Edmonds and we signed the guy from
TJ
the
Edwards.
Eagles. You know what I'm saying? For the same amount of money that Roquan Smith is getting in Baltimore. You know why Roquan Smith is having an amazing, because he's around. He's in a winning culture.
Right.
He's in a winning culture. They got Lamar
John
Jackson
Harbaugh is
on that team. They got
Jim
yeah,
Harbaugh? John
Jim.
Harbaugh.
Um,
John
John.
Harbaugh.
Yeah, Jim is
John
in
Harbaugh.
Michigan.
Yeah.
They have an amazing coach. They have an amazing owner. Like, they have an amazing organization. That's why Roquan Smith is doing what he's doing in Baltimore. Roquan Smith was doing the same thing that he's doing in Baltimore in Chicago, and that didn't equal any wins. Like, he's a part of this 14-game losing streak that the Bears the Bears is on. You see what I'm saying? So that was a great point that you made. So at the end of the day, man, it's just I'm just big on culture now. And this culture is just, this Bears team. They're so checked out with their coach, with their head coach, and that's why you see the results that you're seeing.
I agree. Can we talk about Ryan Poles? Because
yeah,
I agree with you saying that the Chase Claypool thing is 100% hindsight 2020, because most of us, especially most people that I saw on Bears Twitter, loved the trade. They were
I
excited
loved
about
it.
it.
I was one of them.
At the very least, people were understanding of it. Even if you weren't like in love with the trade, people were understanding of it. They're like, okay,
Right.
Darnell Mooney was hurt, I think, when we made that trade, or he got hurt maybe a game after or something like that. But it was very obvious Justin Fields needed another weapon. Darnell Mooney was all he had. And then Cole Kmet was a really good red zone threat. But outside of that, it was just Darnell Mooney. So you go out, you make a trade to get a high ceiling, but albeit very low floor guy. So we understood why Ryan Poles went out to do it. Now, people can make the argument that Ryan Poles should have put his foot down and said that, hey, we're not going to give up our first or second round pick. We want to give up Baltimore's second round pick because we already had that second round pick that we gave up for, or that Baltimore gave up for Roquan Smith.
Mhm.
So I can kind of understand that, but I understood the trade. I understood why he did it. And obviously, it was probably one of the worst, if not the worst, move that Ryan Poles has done. It's going to be a stain on his career as Bears GM. I get it, but that's where we're at with that. But with Ryan Poles, shout out to our guy Paul. He said he would tune in. I don't think he's here yet, but he asked a very interesting question on Facebook, and I told him that I would ask you, and if Dom jumps on too later, I'll ask him as well. But he asked, what has Ryan Poles done besides trading for DJ Moore that has worked out for the Bears? I'm struggling to think of any way that he's improved this team, which explains why we've been winless for almost an entire year.
Right.
And
Good question.
I think it is a good question. I think his best move outside of that is Darnell Wright. I think Darnell Wright has been a very, very good bright spot for the Bears, especially on that offensive line that's had a lot of injuries. He had a bad penalty in this game. He had he talked about that 4th and 1 play that the Bears ran the ball. I guess he had some kind of missed assignment where, if he did his job, it meant the Bears may have converted that 4th and 1, whatever. But
Yeah.
he's still a rookie. You expect him to make mistakes. For the most part, he's been damn good, and probably outside of Tevin Jenkins, the Bears' best offensive lineman this year. But outside of that, I'm struggling to think of. Brian Billings was a good pickup. I think on the defensive line, he's played decent. But yeah, outside of that DJ Moore trade, Darnell Wright draft pick, I don't know, man.
Yeah. So when did Poles come? Last year, right? Was he last year?
It was 2020. Whenever EberFLUSH came, so it was the off season before last year. So last year was the first year.
Okay. I'm gonna reserve my opinion on Poles. I'm gonna give him one more off season. I mean, at this point, I mean, next year we're looking at a top 10 pick, right? Two at that, and we might have number 1 and number 2 pick in the draft.
Yeah,
because Carolina, I mean, the Bears and Carolina are the 2 teams that haven't won a game.
Yeah, the Bears have the 1st and 2nd overall pick right now.
Yeah. So you're at a point where, okay, so we get DJ Moore, so you got your wide receiver, and so you go into next year and you have an opportunity to really shift the culture of your organization. You got the number 1 and number 2 picks, possibly. Let's just say two top 5 picks. That's an organizational changing situation that you're putting yourself in. Now, here's the thing: you got to get the right coach.
That was going to be my next question. Now, I know the roster decisions a lot of people question, but he did end up hiring Matt Eberflus. So
yeah,
do we trust Ryan Poles? Let's just all assume that Matt Eberflus is done after this year. Do we trust him to hire the right guy to develop yet another young quarterback?
Do we know if Eberflus was his hire?
People cut up a clip today because I know a lot of people have been saying, even I said it, I think on the last episode, that it seemed like it was an organized, or what do you call it? Prearranged marriage.
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
with Matt Eberflus and Ryan Poles because Bill Polian came down with a top. Yeah, I know that
Yeah. Can you
hiring
stop that?
crew
Yeah.
came up with their top three when Ryan Poles was hired. It was Matt Eberflus, it was Dan Quinn, and it was Jim Caldwell. It was those three guys. And Ryan Poles was asked by Herb Howard. Shout out to Herb Howard. Um, I love his coverage, one of the best in the Bears, media. I
Mhm.
love his questions. He really asked great questions that put guys on the spot. But he asked Ryan Poles when he got hired in his introductory press conference if Ryan Poles had the opportunity to go out and bring in dudes that were on his list, not Bill
Right.
Polian's list, but on his list. And he said in the press conference that he did get the opportunity, but as soon as he walked in and saw Matt Eberflus, he knew that he was the guy. Is what he
Oh,
said.
yeah, I mean, we can dress that up. He can dress that up all he wants to. We don't know the truth, and he'll
I
never.
guess.
Yeah, he'll never. I don't think that will ever be disclosed. That's the one thing about this Bears organization that I will give credit for. Like they're very, they're very tight-lipped. We
Yeah.
keep everything. You're not gonna really know. You're just gonna know what we tell you, and even if we lie to you, you're just gonna go with that because we're not gonna tell you anything else. They're really good at that. You know, you know what I'm saying? And I
I
don't
feel
know.
you.
To me, like you're a really bad team to do that. Like, just give us that, give us transparency at least, and
Hmm.
not BS us around with with the with the political correct answers because that's all I hear from all of them. It's just the answers are so politically correct because we don't want to offend anybody and whatever. So I don't know, man. It comes down to and we're talking about polls and we're talking about what has he done. I'm gonna give him one more year. I'm gonna give him next off season. I'm gonna see what he can do. You're gonna be in an amazing position where and another thing, they still got cap. They still got a lot of money to spend too. The
Yeah,
one
this.
thing I the one thing that I will say and agree with, and you can agree or disagree, right? Um the Why not go for defensive ends? Why did you invest the money in linebackers when it was obvious that your the game is not won with linebackers anymore, right? The game is
Hmm.
won with pass rushers, cornerbacks because of the type of league that is. It's not these linebackers. Who was the guy who came out of nowhere last year for the Bears? Sanborn, is that his
Jack
name?
Sanborn. Yep.
Jack Sanborn out of from Wisconsin.
Hmm.
That was a great find, right? Because
Hmm.
I believe he's a starter now. You didn't. That's the one criticism that I have on polls in last year's in history is that you didn't address the weakest position on your defense.
Yeah, that's why it's hard for me to be excited the fact that we have money because I don't know what Ryan Poles is going to do with it. Um, yeah, and it's not even you had two decent pass rushers in this offseason. You let go of Gibson, who's now getting sacks over in Tennessee, and then you let go of Smith, whatever his name was. They were your two best pass rushers in the offseason, and you let them go. Now, I'm not saying that
Yeah,
they would have been great. They would have
right.
been killing it here, but that's your biggest need by far
And
right now.
Gibson was drafted. He was
Yeah,
drafted by the Bears.
yes, he was.
It's just weird.
And
It's weird, man. It's
and you
weird why
let
that
those
doesn't
guys,
work out.
you
Yeah.
cut those guys.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and it's hard for me to. I'm very much on the Ryan. I agree that you should give Ryan Poles another shot because at the end of the day, you're right. None of us do know whether or not it was a arranged marriage or not. None of us know. It seemed like it was the fact that Bill Polian interviewed all these dudes before he even hired the GM, and then came up with, Matt Eberflus being his favorite before he even hired Ryan Poles. And then the Indy connection, and there's too much that makes it seem like that was Bill Polian's hire and not really Ryan Poles' hire. But now that you have Kevin Warren, now that Ryan Poles has some years under his belt, I would hope that they just allow those two guys to hire the next head coach. Just let Ryan Poles, let Kevin Warren interview an extensive search and let them hire the dude. Because I can sit here and say that Ryan Poles can't trust Ryan Poles because he hired Matt Eberflus, but we just don't know. It's too much. Too many things happened during that offseason that made it's so ass backwards that no one really knows. So, and that's on the organization. That's an organizational failure. Right there.
It's hard for me. It's hard for me to sit here and give Ryan Poles a grade right now. I just can't, because this team. I mean, let's not forget the position that this team was in when he first came aboard. And it's unfortunate, but I guess gone are the days where you have that 5-year window. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was the window once upon a time when you hired when you bought a new GM to the team, when you bought a new coach to the team. And it was getting, there was a window that was there where it was just like, okay, we know you gotta, get rid of everybody that was there, and then you gotta rebuild your team, and then you gotta grow as a team, and then maybe in year 3, year 4, you can see the fruits of your labor, and then year 5, boom, you take off. Nope, those days are gone. We don't live in that type of society anymore. You come in, we'll give you a day and a half to build this amazing team, and then we want the Super Bowl in that season. You see what I'm saying? I'm joking around, but that's just the way football is today. And especially as Chicago Bears fans, we are so tired. And I said this last week. How can you're in the rebuild? We're in another rebuild. Like, you can rebuild in a rebuild, and that's what we get. We're literally we're about to be in another rebuilding situation. And I'm sorry, that word, we have to just eliminate that. No more rebuilds. It's figure it out. Ryan Poles, it's your job this year and into next offseason to figure it out, because you don't get that window anymore. You will be gone, and if not next year, the year after next, if you don't get this thing together. Because here's the crazy thing about it. Look at the draft picks. Look what you have. You have a young quarterback. You was able to trade for a good wide receiver, and then going into next year. And that's why I like, and Paul made a good point outside of the DJ Moore trade, because what you got back and going into next year, into that draft, I mean, it's a loaded quarterback class. And I'm not saying I'm not on that. We'll have that discussion down the road if Justin Fields is that guy or not, or do we go for Caleb Williams? It's a plethora of dynamic quarterbacks coming out of the draft next year. And then you have the stud wide receiver out of Ohio State, and there's a lot of great players that's in that draft. And I know I'm jumping ahead, but I'm saying he has an opportunity to bring 2 guys in here that can literally shift the direction of your team, along with the talent that you already have on board, because you have talent. That's another thing, man. The Bears, I saw it yesterday, right? We saw it come to fruition yesterday. They have talent on this team. This ain't last year. This isn't last year. They have some amazing talent on this team. Why isn't it coming together? Coaching. Why is the coaching? So let's see who comes in here, and you have to hit on the coach. You have to.
Yeah.
You have to.
And that's it's going to buy Ryan Poles even more time. That's why I everyone's saying, oh, if Matt Eberflus goes, then Ryan Poles has to go. It's not going to happen, because a lot of it is because Ryan Poles has done enough in terms of giving the Bears assets in the future to say, hey, look what I did here. Let's find out what I could do with this stuff that I created. And then you guys can decide my fate, because he didn't draft Justin Fields. He probably made the wrong choices in terms of the coaches to bring in and develop him. That's on him. But he did what he had to do to make sure that the Bears were equipped to take another shot at a young quarterback if Justin didn't work out. And that's what's going to buy Ryan Poles time. That's why Ryan Poles, what he did with that was just completely genius. Whether or not you want him fired or not, you have to admit that that was genius by that guy. He set us up. I mean, he picked the perfect trade partner in Carolina, because look at them. They're terrible.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
He brought in a stud wide receiver in DJ Moore, which if you bring in a young quarterback, that's going to be his best friend right there. He already has a number one wideout. And you have a plethora of other draft picks and cap room to spend. So he's not going anywhere, guys. He's not. It doesn't matter if you want to connect him and at Matt EberFLUSH all you want. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah, it's a question mark. It's a question mark for me with Ryan Poles, man. He just got to get the right guy. Got to get the right guy to lead this team, because the talent is there. The talent is there. Say what you want to say about how the season is going. For any optimistic Bear fans out there, they're not making the playoffs this year. Their season, unfortunately, it's over. We're back into just seeing players develop. The reason I throw that out is because only one team has made the postseason, starting with 4 straight losses in NFL history. So, let's just wrap it up. Let's wrap it up on this season. It's a matter of seeing this team just develop and seeing certain players develop, seeing Justin Fields get that connection with the DJ Moores, with the Darnell Mooneys, with the Cole Kmet, seeing our offensive, our right tackle, seeing him develop, getting Tevin Jenkins back in the mix. He's coming back to practice this week. Seeing him stay healthy and be dominant like he was last year. Hopefully Braxton Jones. I'm gonna be honest with you. You know what? No, I'm gonna give Braxton Jones the benefit of the doubt. He had a rough couple of weeks to start, but he's serviceable. It's just about, here we go back into, we just developing. We're just trying to develop and see who's around next year. That defense, outside of a few cornerbacks that I like, Jalen Johnson is having a great year. You look at his numbers, he's really he's doing an amazing job. I don't know what to make of Eddie Jackson. It sucks that he got injured. Brisker, we'll see what he turns into as well. Yeah, second year hasn't been what I thought it would be.
I'm willing to let him. I'm still on a let's wait and see with Brisker, but man, he
wait
just
and see.
Shut up.
Yeah. He just
Man,
you're not. Yeah, but it's just about just seeing, throwing them all on the board and just see who sticks. Like, it's just one of those type of situations with this team right now, man. But again, to me, next year is the make or break. Next year, and it's always been that way. And like I caution Bears fans that I didn't look at this team as a playoff team this year. I just didn't. This was another year for me to just see who is with moving forward. It's all about moving forward. Next year for me, that's the make or break year.
How can it be make or break if you're drafting a rookie quarterback and bringing in a new head coach?
It all starts I don't have an answer for that.
You see what I mean? You're like starting the clock all over.
That's why you hope. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna. Paul asked a question. He said, "Do they?" Because you talked about Jalen Johnson. He said, "Do they re-sign Jalen Johnson He said, "I hope so."
I hope so. Yeah.
Who do
He's
you
one of
who do
those
you resign though? Do you resign Darnell Mooney or do you sign Jalen Johnson?
both. I mean, we're not trying to break the bank. They're not break the bank type players, but they're homegrown. We drafted them, and they can be pieces to this team. Look, man, cornerbacks. When you got a good cornerback, you got to lock them up. And I'm not saying he's a, Jalen Ramsey. I'm not saying he's one of them, but he's good at his position. And I want to believe that barring any injuries, he's going to get better as he continues his career. So if you have that, if you've drafted that type of player, then you sign him, reward him. Stop being cheap. Don't be cheap. Don't
Yeah,
be cheap.
I think as long he's not wanting top cornerback money,
Yeah,
then you definitely re-sign him.
you good.
And
Yeah,
same with Darnell. Like
yeah.
as long as they're willing to take that discount where it's like, okay, you're a good player for us, but
Right.
we're not breaking the bank for you. As long as
Yeah.
they're willing to take that, then yeah, I'm all for signing the both of them. But that's
Y-
also in a perfect world because these guys, there might be teams out there that are willing to give them a
Yeah.
decent amount of
Yeah.
money.
And now,
And
yeah. And then here's the thing: do they want to even play for this team? That's another thing you got to think about.
exactly, they're
You
free
know.
agents; they can go wherever they want.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
um, but I wanted to ask you. I have a question to ask you because we talked about again development and seeing these guys develop. That's all we got to look forward to this year. How can Justin string them? A couple of games in a row where he's playing well. He's on pace right now for 64% completion percentage, 3,659 yards, 30 tutties, 21 INTs,
Yeesh.
72 sacks,
Hmm.
yikes, 86.8 passer rating, 570 rushing yards, and 4 rushing TDs.
Hmm.
Um, does that stat line do it for you to not draft a quarterback in this draft? Let's say the Bears don't have the top pick. Let's say they
Okay.
win a couple games.
Right.
Let's say we still have a top 5 pick. So
Mhm.
let's say we have like the number 3 and number 5, or number 4 and number 6, something like that.
Okay. Okay.
Does that stat line do it for you to where you don't take a quarterback in this draft and you stick with Justin?
Um.
Because obviously, if you have the top pick, you're taking Caleb. Like
Yeah.
that's an
Yeah.
obvious, right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
I think that stat line makes it difficult if you don't have that top pick.
Yeah. That's a good question. That's a good question. If you have the number one pick, you're definitely taking Caleb Williams. And I just urge people go watch USC games. Go watch Caleb Williams play. I love Justin Fields. And that's hard for me being a Michigan guy. And I seen what he did to my Michigan team when he was with Ohio State. I'm rooting for the kid, but Caleb Williams, that's a once in a generation type talent for me. And we both have watched a lot of football in our lifetime. And that's just somebody you just don't pass up, especially if this is the type of team. And I know people say, oh, well, we go drafting another. Caleb Williams is special. That's just different, man. You see it. If you watch football, I urge everybody watch USC just play, and he's just different.
Any
And
team not with Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow,
yeah,
maybe throw Justin Herbert in there.
yep,
Any team
yep,
outside of those guys are
yep.
drafting Caleb Williams if they have the
Definitely,
number 1 overall pick. So
definitely. You're
that just tells you.
definitely exactly. If you're I mean, he's just
I mean, hell,
he's
even if I was the Eagles and Jalen Hurts has been great, I'm taking
yeah.
Caleb Williams.
I'm taking Caleb Williams. If I'm Dallas and I got Dak, I'm taking Caleb. If
Yeah.
you're not the teams that you name, and I even throw Buffalo in there with Josh Allen. If you're not those 4 teams, you're definitely you. And I mean, I keep talking about CJ Stroud. Here we go with another Ohio State quarterback, and I hate this, but they got that one right. But
Yeah.
Caleb Williams is special. To your question, with those numbers, if he puts up those numbers this year, and the Bears are still losing, and they still have the number 1 pick, Justin Fields has been amazing. I'm trying to find a trade partner, trying to put you in the best situation where you can continue to grow and develop. But I'm going after. I gotta get Caleb Williams.
But what if they don't have the number 1 overall pick?
Then Justin Fields is my guy. He's my guy. I'm not if it's not Caleb Williams. And look, the quarterback class next year, it's they have it's heavy. They have a good maybe 5 to 6 quarterbacks that can really be good for an organization. Outside of Caleb Williams is just on a mountain by himself, right? But you got Shador Sanders, Deion Sanders kid, got the
Mhm.
kid from North Carolina, got the
Drake
kid from
May.
Michigan, JJ McCarthy, got the kid from Washington. I mean, it's the quarterbacks in this college. It's gonna be special. But if it's not Caleb Williams, I'm good. I'll go with Justin Fields.
Mm,
I'll go with Justin
interesting.
Fields because even in free agency, like let's say, okay, we in you outside of maybe Kirk Cousins, I think could be a free agent after this year. You're not, but are you bringing Kirk Cousins in?
Hell no.
Would you give up Justin Fields? Would you let Justin Fields go to bring in Kirk Cousins and he bridges the gap and you draft? Now that's an interesting scenario, right? Let's say you do draft. Let's say you do have a top 5 pick, Caleb Williams gone, but that, like I said, Drake May from North Carolina. I know it's North Carolina, so we get kind of shaky. We think about
God.
Trubisky, but I think Drake May is definitely better than Trubisky. But like I said, you got McCarthy from Michigan, you got Shador Sanders. Do you get a Kirk Cousins? Maybe sign him to a 2-year deal, draft one of those quarterbacks, and then they just sit behind Kirk Cousins for 2 years. If this don't work out with Justin Fields, would you do something like you? It's one of those things where do you have options or are you just better off just keeping Justin Fields if you can't get Caleb Williams? For me, I'm just gonna go with just keeping Justin Fields.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I
Yeah,
don't
I
think
mean
you
that
agree
stat
with me
line. That
though.
what? What'd you say?
I said I don't think you agree with me. I don't think.
I mean, that stat line is solid. Like
Mhm.
that's pretty close to a 4,000-yard passer.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I don't know. I guess it depends how many wins that gets you to that stat line. Probably not many because our defense is trash. But
okay, so
yeah,
let me ask you. You have that stat line, right? But let's say they don't win. Let's say they finish 2 in whatever. They get 2 wins this year and you have um you don't have number 1, but you got number 2, 3 pick. What would you do? What would you do?
well, 2 wins. I think if you have 2 wins, you got the number 1 pick. Like,
Okay. So let's say Carolina gets 1 win and we get 2.
then you have the number 1 overall pick because Carolina.
Oh,
You
that's
got
right.
Carolina's pick.
Oh man. It's getting late. I had a long
That's
day at work. I'm sorry.
that's the thing. You got 2
That's
terrible
yeah.
teams.
Oh,
It's going to be interesting to see, which pick is worse and if it ends up being the number 1 overall pick. But yeah, I think I agree with you. I think if you have the number 1 overall pick, whether it be your own or Carolina's, doesn't matter. You take Caleb Williams. Like
yeah.
that's, I don't, yeah, that's a no brainer. Now, if Justin struggles, let's say he
Mhm.
doesn't put up that stat line.
Mm,
Let's say he just crosses 3,000 yards
yeah.
and has a bunch of INTs and doesn't throw 30 touchdowns. He throws maybe 26. Um, and he has some good games, but it's just not, he's not stringing them together like he
Right.
has before.
Right.
Then yeah, you look into drafting one of those other guys, I
Mhm.
think. Um, and maybe you do pick up a veteran free agent quarterback, and as long as they hire a
That
a,
yeah.
a quarterback,
Yeah.
and this is going to be my plea for no matter what they do at quarterback. I don't care if they draft Caleb Williams. I don't care if they stick with Justin. I don't care if they draft Drake May or one of the other quarterbacks. I think they have to hire someone who's done it before. No more first timers. No more. I like Ben Johnson, but don't hire Ben Johnson, please. I'm done with the first time head coach BS bullcrap. Go out and get somebody who's proven, who's done it before. Give a blank check to Jim Harbaugh, please. Please.
Yeah. You know,
I would
Michigan,
love that.
that's my team. He don't have to go.
No, steal him from Michigan.
No.
Steal him. Give him a blank check. Tell him to write whatever the hell number he wants. Bring him here. Just bring someone who's done it before. I'm tired of the first timers, man. I can't do it anymore. We've had it twice in a row already.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
they haven't worked out.
Oh my God.
And you went from a first-time head coach who was an offensive guy to a first-time head coach who's now a defensive guy, and it just has not worked out.
Yeah.
Paul said Bieniemy, and I don't even want Bieniemy.
Yeah, because again, that's a first time.
I don't want a first-time head coach, even if he's a great play caller, because at the end of the day, he has to be a head coach.
Yeah.
He has to make decisions that are key. And it's one thing that this coaching staff has not done well down the stretch of games is make good decisions when you're in the game, when you need to win the game. You have to make good coaching decisions. They could be a great play caller. Cool. That gets you so far. I'm done with that, man. I would prefer it to be an offensive coach. Because if you do draft a young quarterback and your offense ends up being pretty damn good and he's good at developing them, then you don't have to worry about, your offensive coordinator getting hired somewhere.
Right.
I would prefer that. That would be great. But just please do not get someone who's doing it for the first time. I beg and plead, Ryan Poles.
I agree.
To not do that.
Definitely agree with that.
But yeah, I guess I don't know. I guess we're gonna see. This Thursday is definitely an important one for Justin because
you want to string some good games.
You have to show some kind of consistency because he's had games like this where he has. Remember that game against Pittsburgh his rookie year, where he, on Monday Night Football, he had a great game passing the football. And then the week after was Baltimore, and he was terrible in that game. This has to be different. We have to see improvement. Hopefully, Tevin Jenkins is going to be back. He's off of IR. He practiced fully today, and hopefully, that'll be a great bump to this offensive line. Finally, get rid of Lucas Patrick because that dude is hot garbage.
Yeah,
hot garbage. Yeah. Was that a Ryan Poles signing? That was a Ryan Poles signing, right? Lucas Patrick.
That was a Poles signing. Yeah. But he was decent. I mean, he was okay in Green Bay. He wasn't. It was well. First of all, let me stress he was hired as a backup. Right.
I was gonna say, wasn't he a backup over there?
We didn't sign him to start. He was a backup.
No, we signed him to start.
Oh.
He was signed to be our starting center, so that way you can move Cody Whitehair to guard.
Yeah, man.
That's why we
Ryan
signed
Poles. I tried Ryan Poles. I really did, man. I really did.
Yeah, Lucas Patrick has been terrible, but you could put Cody back at center, put Tevin at left guard. Hopefully that'll help. But hey, listen, the pass protection this year has been decent. I was looking at the PFF grades for the Bears pass protection, and the Bears are 11th in pass protection grade according to PFF, which is damn good.
Yeah, you watch enough NFL. It's nobody has like the perfect offensive line, right? You have your weak point. Every team has a weakness in the offensive line. I watched Kansas City last night, and I think that was the I think it was the right tackle that everybody wanted the Bears to sign. you want to talk about hot garbage? Like he's been terrible for Kansas City. What is his name? Jones? Is that his?
Orlando Brown.
Anyways, no, he's the right tackle, I believe.
Okay,
He actually
I
got
know
a
what you're talking about.
safety.
I know what you're
Actually
talking
had a
about. Yeah.
safety yesterday because he had a face mask in the end zone that cost him a safety, but he's been really bad, and they signed him to a lot of money. So I'm looking at like even the top teams in the NFL have offensive line problems, right? And that's
Yeah.
when you have to have a special quarterback or a good quarterback to offset the problems that your offensive line has. And so yesterday I really saw Justin Fields do that
Mm-hmm.
where he really, I mean, it was a throw that he made to Darnell Mooney. It was like a slant. And I don't know what Borum, what he was thinking about, but I mean, the snap got off, and I don't know the defensive end for Denver. He got to the backfield so quick, and Bourne was
Yeah.
still like in his crouch. Like I don't know if he was farting. Like I don't know if like
I
the
don't know
back
what
of
he's
his
thinking.
thighs itch, pause. I don't know what was going on with Larry Bourne, but it happened so fast, and his reaction was so terrible. And Justin Fields made a on the money type throw to DJ Moore in the slant. So,
Mm-hmm.
every offensive line has his weakness, and the Bears are no short of that. So it's good that Tevin Jenkins is coming back. Look, man, this game Thursday is make or break. I believe this is a make or break game for Coach EberFLUSH and that coaching staff. Specifically for EberFLUSH, because then here's the thing: you lose Thursday, and you have a long week. You have a long, like you
It's a
have
mini buy. That's that
you
mini
have a
buy.
mini bye, exactly. So a lot of decisions, if they lose, a lot of decisions will be made. And I think the firing of our coach, it will happen. It definitely will happen.
Has to be talked about at the very least. Yeah, I agree. It's all about. Can't believe we're here again. It's
Yeah,
all about seeing development and I guess rooting for the number one overall pick. I guess.
yeah,
I guess at
yeah.
this point.
Sure. Why
Um,
not? Might as well. Something needs to happen.
can,
Hey, we got
can,
the kid from in for the Blackhawks. He's once in a
Connor
lifetime.
Bedard, and
Yeah,
he's his preseason has looked.
yeah.
What he does with the puck is
It's crazy, bro. It's
it's.
crazy.
And I thought Patrick Kane, and listen, Patrick Kane is still a legend in this
Yeah.
town. I thought what Patrick Kane used to do with the puck was impressive. Oh my
It's
god,
another level.
It-
And he's
it's
only
it's
13. Connor Bernard is
he's Kyrie Irving with a puck. Basically, if you guys don't know hockey,
oh man. Just go
he
watch. Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
the
That's
way
a great
Kyrie has that
comparison.
ball
Oh
on a
my God.
string.
Yeah, bro.
That's how he is.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. But anyway,
So we might as well just get Caleb Williams too. Bring another
I was going to ask
generational
you: can the
talent.
Bears ruin Caleb Williams? Do you think the Bears can ruin Caleb Williams?
Oh, I don't say this about a lot of quarterbacks, but no, he's that special to
Because
me.
that's what I thought about Justin. I thought Justin would be able to mask at least some of the Bears' incompetencies, but
Yeah,
I don't know about that one.
Caleb Williams is you don't it's not too many of them that come around like Caleb Williams. So I think he's that quarterback. We thought Justin Fields would be the quarterback to, like you said, to change an organization.
Yeah.
Right. And obviously he's not that Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen type. I think Caleb Williams, I think he's that. I'll go out on the limb and say he's that guy.
Mm. Well, number one overall pick. Let's go.
I
Let's
love the whelp.
go.
Whelp. Here we go.
Okay. Well, since it's a Thursday night game, we're not going to be jumping on the pod before then. So I want to get your prediction right now. Who do you got winning this game?
Washington is feisty, bro. Like
They are feisty.
This kid Sam Howell. I'm like, okay, well, Washington will be 0-4 or whatever.
They almost beat the Eagles.
I was just about to say they gave the Eagles a good, and this quarterback, man, he's a tough kid. They got weapons on the outside. McLaren, great running back, and what's the guy? It's not Gibson. Robinson. I think, yeah. So the defense, you're gonna have your hands full with Chase Young, another Ohio State, who, by the way, the Bears was rumored to be in a mix to trade for him. He'll
Mhm.
be a free agent next year, so somebody to watch out for. But Washington, and they're coached by Ron Rivera. Ron Rivera, tough coach, former Bear, player. Bellamy is the offensive coordinator. Paul just alluded to him coming over to be a head coach, but he has that offense playing well. Is this game in Washington?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I got the Bears losing. I got them losing 28 21. Got them losing by a touchdown.
Yeah, Matt EberFLUSH can't get this team prepared
No.
in a full week.
Yep. That's Yep.
Let alone a short week.
Right. Exactly.
I just hope that Luke Getsy keeps dialing them. I hope that Justin Fields keeps that confidence. I hope that this wasn't. You remember that Trubisky game against Tampa, that 6 touchdown game?
Yep.
If you remember that game, it was Tampa Bay had a historically bad passing defense,
Right.
and it showed.
Yeah.
And it's the same with Denver. Their defense is going to be historically bad. So I just hope that this isn't another repeat of that, and I hope that Justin strings together some games.
I agree.
That's the only thing I'm watching for, because Sam Howell is going to look like Peyton Manning. Brian Robinson is going to look like Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
And Bears defense, I expect absolutely nothing from them. So, yeah, I'll say Washington 33, Bears 24.
Okay. So we both got them losing. Wow.
Yep.
That's the season, folks.
Yep.
That's the season.
Yeah, I don't know. And that week is going to be interesting. That short bye week.
Yeah.
Every single Bears fan is going to be calling for Matt EberFLUSH's head. So
Definitely.
We'll see. Hey, Kevin Warren, do something, man. You were brought here to change the culture. You were brought here because you weren't Ted Phillips. Let's change something, bro.
Yeah.
Let's stop this whole we don't fire coaches midseason bullcrap, because it's gotten us nowhere.
Yeah. And Kevin Warren's black, so just fire him. They're not gonna let you go. It's about affirmative action.
Right. You can fire a grievance, or you can
I'm a brother, so you gonna let me go?
You can file a grievance.
Man, I will pull the race car so fast. Like I'm y'all first black president. You gonna fire me? Oh, bro, I'll be clowning. You better assert some authority there, brother.
That's a great point. Great point.
Guys, I'm just playing. For those that's listening, guys, I'm not that type of guy that just pulls the race card. You got people like, oh my God, Bruce.
No, we get you. All right. Before we leave and before we look forward to this glorious Thursday night football game, let's end it with our rec of the week.
Rec of
the week. Yeah, it's just our recommendation of the week. We can recommend anything that we want. And Bruce, you go first. Did you forget again?
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't have it.
I'll go first.
All
right. So basically, I am just piggybacking off of our guy Dom, who gave a movie recommendation a couple weeks ago. It was the new Ninja Turtles movie, and I watched it finally because it came out on Paramount Plus. Shout out to Paramount Plus for dropping that super early.
Yeah.
But my gosh, it is so good.
It's dope.
The jokes. I heard that they hired like a bunch of young kids
Uh-huh.
to write jokes for this movie because they wanted them to be relevant.
Yeah.
And oh my
It
god,
was. It was,
it
though.
was so good. The
Yeah.
animation is just so good.
Yeah.
You had Ice Cube as Mr. Fly,
Right, right.
the bad dude who or the the villain in the movie, which I
Mhm.
thought was great. The music, it's just
Very
if you
nostalgic.
watch Into the Spider-Verse,
Yeah.
they have a lot of culture in their music.
Right.
They
Right.
got a lot of good hip hop, old school
Yep.
hip hop, New York
Very
hip hop,
nostalgic. Yeah. Yeah.
and this was the same thing. It
Mm.
was so good. It was
I
so
loved
good.
it. I
Highly
loved it.
recommend it.
Yeah.
It's one of the best animation movies I've watched in a long time.
Yeah.
But
Shout out to Seth Rogen, man. Shout out to Seth Rogen. Do your Googles if you don't know who Seth Rogen is. And that's his project. He's
yeah,
very into the 90s cartoons, and he spoke about just wanting to just bring that back. And he did him and his team, and they did an amazing job
yeah,
on that movie. I can't wait for part 2.
yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
Yeah. Speaking of movies, man, I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of just go in that same way. Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle,
Oh,
the DC movie.
ooh,
I had
I wanted to
no
watch
idea
that.
what Blue Beetle was. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a Marvel guy. I wasn't really sure how Blue Beetle, what that was. I saw that with my son. Blue Beetle is amazing. And we talk about culture, is more of a Hispanic type. The
Yeah,
main character. I think
he's a
he was on
Mexican.
the Mexican.
He's
He
Mexican,
was
right?
the Karate Kid. I think he was on the Karate Kid series for Netflix.
Oh,
Who else was in there? It was a bunch of amazing people, amazing actors and actresses. That movie, super cool. I recommend, like, go take your son if you just want to go by yourself. Go go watch it by yourself. Everybody, Blue Beetle, hands down, is an amazing movie. Great cast. The ending is amazing. And again, with these action movies, you now have to wait to the end to see,
right.
the after credits, because it's just like, oh, okay, I can't wait for that to come out.
Hmm.
And it's one of those scenes where it's just like, word, for real? Okay, I can't wait. So yeah, my rec of the week, and it's been out for a minute. I think it's coming out on Amazon as one of
Okay,
those you can rent. So yeah, check that out, Blue
I'll have
Beetle.
to check that out. Blue Beetle. He's like
Yeah.
the DC Iron Man, right? Basically, kind of.
Yes, dang, that's a man.
And
Look at you.
and
You was in the comic books. You in the comic books?
yeah, I was in the comic
Yeah.
books. I was a nerd.
Okay. Blue Beetle,
You can call
man.
me nerd.
I was like, dang, they making movies about roaches. That's what they on. Just blue roaches, huh? That's what we doing to the culture. Okay, well, but I was totally wrong. Blue Beetle was amazing. And honestly, like, for Halloween, I would dress up as Blue Beetle. I'm a little thick, pause, but I would dress up as Blue Beetle.
Bro, I'm gonna have to show you my Halloween costume. I'll have to text it to you because Becca gave me the idea, and
Yeah.
it's a TikTok guy that does a
Okay.
certain dance, and
Uh-huh.
Becca said I look like him and I could do the dance, and it's gonna be hilarious. I
Can
have to
you do
send
the
it to you.
dance?
I can,
Oh, okay.
um, I can. So I'm gonna send it to you, and maybe I'll put it on the podcast at some
All right.
point.
We should dress
To,
up for a podcast show. We should do like
let's do a Halloween show. Heck
we should do a
yes,
Halloween show. Bet.
hell yes, I'm
Let's
down for
do it.
that.
Let's do it. Stay tuned. We
100%.
clowning. We gonna clown with that one. Oh man.
Oh man. All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. Whether you watched us live or you're hearing us on the audio portion of the podcast, we appreciate you either way. If you are listening to us on the podcast, give us a rating and a review as well. It just helps us out. It gets the word out there for our podcast. Does something to the algorithm that just it helps us
Yeah.
tremendously. So, but if you are listening to us and you're like, man, I wanna watch them live. I want to see their faces. I want to see these faces that go along with these sexy voices.
Hey, nah.
Go to our YouTube page. It's
Yeah.
just Bear Down Breakdown. Type that into the YouTube and subscribe to our channel, and It'll give you a notification every time we are live. And yeah, that helps us out too by subscribing and liking the videos and whatnot. So yeah.
No doubt.
But anyway, next time we talk to you guys, we'll find out whether or not it's pitchfork season on Mad EberFLUSH, or we're running yet again another week of Mad EberFLUSH. So we'll see. We'll see how this works out. But anyways, stay tuned and we'll talk to y'all next time.
Peace.
Peace out.